Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Agganis Arena in Boston, Massachusetts. I think that's how you pronounce the name of the arena. And Dynamite tonight was a fun show, in my opinion. It was a good show tonight. Really enjoyed it. Tonight on Dynamite, we had CM Punk versus Bobby Fish. We had the TNT Championship on the line. Sammy Guevara defended the title against Ethan Page. We had the TBS Women's Championship Tournament still continue, where Hikaroshida ended up taking on Serena Deeb. We had Jon Moxley versus Dark Order's 10. This was in the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. And in the main event, we had the Dark Order versus the SuperKliq. You know, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Adam Cole. But Dynamite tonight, like I said, very fun show. Good show tonight. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. And I have my Coca-Cola here. Open it up. And let's get this review underway. So, Dynamite tonight kicked off with Bobby Fish versus CM Punk. Now, this match came about because Bobby Fish ended up facing Anthony Green on Dynamite on Saturday, and CM Punk ended up coming out to help Anthony Green, and Bobby Fish end up retreating out of the ring, and both Bobby Fish and CM Punk were, talking trash to each other, and that's how this match came about. But this was a very good match. The crowd was so into the match. They were, all for CM Punk, of course. Punk, of course, is still undefeated since he made his debut in AEW. He hasn't even lost yet, which is good. And the wrestling in this match from both Bobby Fish and CM Punk was great. You had Punk end up going for an elbow drop to Bobby Fish, and he ended up applying a reverse chin lock. Both Punk and Bobby Fish are up, and Bobby Fish ended up leaping over CM Punk, and he ended up again scoop slammed by CM Punk twice, and the crowd wanted CM Punk to slam Bobby Fish again. And Punk ended up trying to go for the GTS, which, if you all didn't hear JR on commentary, he ended up calling the GTS the GPS, which, of course, he corrected himself. But I had to laugh when he made that botch. But we had Bobby Fish end up getting to the ropes. He ended up pinning a back elbow to get out of Punk delivering the GTS to him. Bobby Fish came back and delivered a flurry of strikes to Punk and a slingshot senton. He went for the cover, which Punk kicked out at 2. Punk ended up sending Bobby Fish out of the ring. He ended up delivering a suicide dive, a nice-looking suicide dive onto Bobby Fish. So Punk ended up heading up to the top. Bobby Fish ended up going back out to the floor. Punk ended up going out to the apron, and Bobby Fish ended up sweeping Punk's leg on the apron. So Bobby Fish ended up keeping the pressure on Punk. He did the inverted dragon screw, and CM Punk was dumped back out to the floor. Bobby Fish then sent Punk into the barricade. Both Punk and Fish were throwing strikes on the floor, and Punk was dropped with a knee to his midsection from Bobby Fish. So at the end of the match, we had Punk hitting the GTS on Bobby Fish. He used the knee that Bobby Fish ended up sweeping on the apron. So he went for the cover, and there you go. CM Punk ended up winning the match. His undefeated streak still continues, which is great. But overall, this was a very good match. Like I said, the wrestling from Bobby Fish and CM Punk here was very good, and the crowd was really into this match, and they were all for CM Punk, of course. And then we had Malachi Black. Malachi Black ended up cutting a promo. He ended up saying that he made Cody's family lose faith in him and divided the entire Nightmare family. He ended up saying that he even made the crowds hate him. Black ended up saying that if Cody thinks it's just about pinfalls, that's not the deal, and that the house always win. So that was what Malachi Black had to say. So it was a good little promo from Malachi Black. And then we had MJF. MJF was in action. He ended up taking on Bryce Donovan, local talenty there in Boston. And this was just a quick match here. MJF was delivering some strikes to Bryce Donovan, nailed the heat seeker. He did the one finger pin where MJF just laid his finger on Bryce Donovan. And there you go. MJF ended up winning the match. Post-match, MJF got on the mic, and he ended up saying to Boston that Boston is absolutely a shithole, how he remembered it from the last time. MJF starts talking trash of the woman in Boston. He did an impression of Boston mothers having sex with him. And then he talks about Darby Allen. MJF ended up saying that Darby Allen is too scared to show up for work after he got dropped by the Pinnacle. So MJF was joking about dropping Sting with Dynamite Diamond Ring, which we saw on Dynamite on Saturday, where he just laid out Sting with the Diamond Ring, the ring that he won 2 years ago. If you remember, he won against Hangman Adam Page. He ended up saying that there's nothing stopping his destiny. MJF ended up saying that it doesn't matter what happens at Full Gear, you're looking at the future AEW World Champion. And when that comes, you can all imagine the crowd booing the hell out of MJF once MJF wins the AEW World Championship. His time will come, and he would make a good AEW World Champion. When you look at MJF, he's good in the ring, good mic skills, and you see a future World Champion in him. The guy is absolutely talented. He is one of the best heels in AEW. So I can't wait for the day when we see MJF as AEW World Champion. So Sting's music ended up playing, and Sting didn't come out, and MJF ended up faking the crowd, swerving the crowd. He's laughing. He's kicking his feet around, just laughing. So the lights end up going out, and we see someone wearing an MJF mask. And Darby Allen ended up putting this person wearing an MJF mask through a table, and the lights end up going up in the arena, and Sting is behind Shawn Spears, Wardlow, and MJF. So Sting ended up bashing Wardlow and Shawn Spears with the bat, and MJF ended up running out to the barricade, running like a scolded dog, as JR would say. So MJF ran out to the barricade, and we see this guy dressed up like the Invisible Man. Had the glasses, the bandages around the face, wearing a cloak jacket. And that person was Darby Allen. So Darby Allen ended up returning. He was standing behind MJF. MJF ended up running up to the stage. Shawn Spears ended up getting caught by Darby Allen. So Darby Allen end up retreating from under the ring, a skateboard with thumbtacks underneath it. So he ended up whacking Wardlow with the skateboard with the thumbtacks. You saw a little bit of thumbtacks on Wardlow's back. So Darby Allen ended up grabbing the mic, and he ended up saying, "Max, full gear." So it looks like we're going to be getting MJF versus Darby Allen at Full Gear. So that's going to be a good match there. It's going to be awesome. But overall, this was a good segment here. Darby Allen making his return. Like that little video that was done where Darby Allen ended up putting this person wearing an MJF mask through the table. Like how the way it was filmed. So, but it was awesome. Now we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was backstage. He was interviewing Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And Tony Schiavone was knowing that Britt Baker walked out on a match against Abaddon on the Jericho Cruise. So Tony Schiavone ended up saying that Britt Baker now has to face Abaddon in a trick-or-treat no DQ match on Rampage this Friday. So Tony Schiavone ended up saying that if Abaddon wins the match on Friday, she gets a title shot. She gets an AEW Women's World Championship shot. So there you go. That was that. So Abaddon versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, trick-or-treat no DQ match this Friday on Rampage. All I can say is Britt Baker is going to win the match. Abaddon, she's not getting a shot at the AEW Women's World Championship. Britt Baker is going to be walking out of that match victorious, winning. And then we had Sammy Guevara versus Ethan Page. The TNT Championship was on the line. Everyone was barred from ringside. So it was just a one-on-one match between Guevara and Ethan Page. But if Sammy Guevara lost the match, he would have to leave the Inner Circle. But if Guevara wins, the Inner Circle decides who joins Men of the Year in their match at Full Gear. So this was a good match here. This was a very entertaining match. So Guevara ended up running to the ring. He ended up sending Page out of the ring. And the match didn't even start at this point. So it's just a brawl between Guevara and Page. So Guevara ended up hitting a knee to Ethan Page and a flip out to the floor. Guevara was still continuing to beat down on Page. And we had both Guevara and Page ended up getting into the ring. The bell was rung. The match ended up starting. Page got in some strikes to Guevara. But Guevara ended up avoiding Page, ended up delivering a drop kick to him. And Tony Nese. Tony Nese was shown out in the crowd. So Tony Nese once again appearing on Dynamite. So we had both Guevara and Page. They would train shots at each other. Guevara ended up lifting Page, ended up kicking him in the back. He then kicked Page in the face. So Page ended up controlling the match at this point where Guevara ended up heading up to the top rope, got knocked out to the floor by Page. So Page was, like I said, in control of the match here. Guevara ended up building up some offense on Page. So Guevara ended up booting Page's head from the apron. Guevara ended up charging in. He ended up taking a kick to the face by Page. And Sammy Guevara here at this part of the match, he ended up delivering a awesome looking smash fly. And he went to a pin, which Page ended up kicking out at 2. Page ended up going out to the floor. Guevara ended up going up to the top turnbuckle. And he delivered a nice looking awesome shooting star press from the top out to the floor onto Page. So it was a awesome like I said, awesome looking shooting star press from the top. So Guevara was looking to go for the GTH, but he ended up eating a forearm from Page, which Page ended up getting Guevara in the face. So Guevara was on the second rope. Page ended up whipping him off, and he went for the cover. Guevara ended up kicking out 2. And at the end of the match, we had Guevara end up hitting the Hurricanrana. Guevara ended up missing a standing shooting star press, and he was able to counter Ethan Page. He ended up sweeping Page's legs and did a jackknife pin. And there you go. Sammy Guevara ended up winning the match, retaining the TNT Championship. And Sammy Guevara is not leaving the Inner Circle. So now the Inner Circle decides who is going to join, who joins Man of the Year in their match at Full Gear. So post-match, Page ended up attacking Sammy Guevara. Scorpio Sky ended up running out. Scorpio Sky ended up being down on Guevara. You know, him and Page were beating him down. No Dan Lambert tonight. So we had the Inner Circle. We had Jericho, Santana, Ortiz, and Jake Hager. They ended up running out. They cleared the ring of Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. So Jericho ended up getting on the mic and ended up saying, "Leave it to the jackasses of the year to ambush Guevara after the match." Jericho confirmed that there will be a 5-on-5 match at Full Gear. And Jericho ended up saying that at Full Gear, the match will now be a Minneapolis street fight, since Full Gear is going to be taking place in Minneapolis. And this match was done per Tony Khan. So he ended up saying that next week, they will decide which American top team members will be in the match at Full Gear. So that was that. So there you go. Minneapolis Street Fight going to be taking place at Full Gear. Inner Circle versus any members of the American top team. And so then we went to Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was backstage. He was interviewing Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston before their semifinals match in the AEW World Title Tournament. This is going to be a very good match between the both of them. I like both guys. Both guys are very good in the ring. And it's a dream match for Bryan. So Kingston ended up saying that Danielson says that he doesn't work hard. He talks about dealing with stuff every single day. And that Bryan shouldn't talk until he walks a day in his shoes. So Kingston ended up saying that he's done talking and he's done listening. So Kingston then ended up walking off. He ended up leaving. Bryan went on to say that that's the Kingston that he wants to see. He ended up saying that there's a lot of tough guys out there. But Kingston and Moxley are two of the toughest that he's ever been with in the ring. Bryan ended up saying that unfortunately it doesn't matter how hard Kingston works in the ring. He is going to beat him in that match. So that was that. But I'm looking forward to this match with Bryan and Eddie Kingston. Both guys are going to put on a good match there in the semifinals in the AEW World Title Tournament. Very much looking forward to it. And then we had the Lucha Brothers backstage. We had Rey Fenix, Penta, and they are challenging FTR to a match at Full Gear. So possibly going to be getting that. And then we had Hikaroshida versus Serena Deeb. This was in the TBS Women's Championship Tournament. And this was a very good matchup here. If Hikaroshida ended up winning this match, it would be her 50th match that she won. So we had Serena Deeb end up throwing Hikaru leg into the ring post. So Deeb ended up trying to throw Hikaru leg into the post again, but Shida ended up launching Serena Deeb into the post and she ended up crashing down to the floor. And Hikaroshida ended up bringing Serena Deeb up to the apron. So she went up to the second rope. She ended up doing a suplex. She ended up going for the cover. Deeb ended up kicking out at 2. So Hikaroshida ended up keeping the match going. She was delivering shots to Serena Deeb's head, followed by a knee strike. Hikaroshida ended up making her way to the top rope, delivered a missile drop kick, and there was a couple of counters in the middle of the ring. Hikaroshida delivered an axe kick and a released German suplex to Serena Deeb, and Shida ended up delivering a face buster, and she went for the cover, which Deeb ended up kicking out at 2. So Hikaroshida delivered a knee strike to the back of Serena Deeb's head. She went for the cover, and Deeb ended up kicking out at 2. She ended up trying to go for a suplex, Hikaroshida, but Serena Deeb ended up reversing it. She ended up wrenching at Hikaroshita's knee. So Hikaroshida ended up trying to do a leap off of a chair, but Serena Deeb ended up swiping it. Hikaroshida ended up charging, and she leapt off the steps, and she ended up hitting a drop kick. Serena Deeb ended up tripping up Hikaroshita's leg. Deeb ended up slamming Hikaroshita's leg down on the edge of the ring a couple of times. There was a point in the match where Serena Deeb ended up getting a piece of the trophy that Hikaroshida ended up bringing into the ring. Hikaroshida ended up kicking Serena Deeb. She ended up dropping it. Hikaroshida ended up thinking about smacking Serena Deeb with that piece of the trophy. And Hikaroshida ended up handing it off to the referee. Hikaroshida delivered a poke to Serena Deeb's eye. She went for the roll-up. Deeb ended up kicking out at 2. So Serena Deeb was looking to go for a finisher, but Hikaroshida ended up reversing it into a pin. And there you go. Hikaroshida ended up winning the match, and she advances in the TBS Women's Title Tournament. So she will now get to face Nyla Rose. So it's going to be Hikaroshida versus Nyla Rose in this tournament. Post-match, Serena Deeb ended up delivering a chop block to Hikaroshida from behind. She then ended up grabbing a chair, and Serena Deeb ended up whacking Hikaroshida a few times in the knee with the chair. So Serena Deeb ended up applying the single leg Boston Crab, and we had officials end up coming out. Jerry Lynn also ended up running out to stop Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb ended up letting go of the Boston Crab. And that was basically that. Well, overall, this was a good match. And this match went longer than the shitty Queen's Crown tournament matches that WWE ended up putting on. Which those matches lasted for 2-3 minutes. Everything in this match was better than what we saw in that shitty Queen's Crown tournament. They actually cared here for the women's match. And it was entertaining. The crowd was so into the match here. Overall, very good match between Hikaroshida and Serena Deeb. Like I said, now it's going to be Hikaroshida versus Nyla Rose in the tournament. So then we had Lio Rush and Dante Martin. Fortunately, the matchup with the Sydal brothers, Matt and Mike, versus Lio Rush and Dante Martin is not going to be taking place because Mike Sydal is injured. And that match was going to take place this Friday on Rampage. But, of course, like I said, Mike Sydal is injured. But Lio Rush ended up saying that his return match will come in time. It has to be the right time for him to have his match in the ring. But he ended up saying that Dante will get a chance to be mentored by someone who wants to see him continue to grow and also beat his opponent this Friday. So it's going to be Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin this Friday on Rampage. And then we had Jon Moxley versus 10. This was in the tournament for the AEW World Title. And this was a very quick match. Moxley ended up starting off the match with a German suplex on 10. He was stomping away on 10 in the corner. Moxley ended up trying to go for another suplex, but 10 ended up delivering a back elbow to Moxley. So 10 ended up charging in at Moxley, but he ended up on the apron. 10 ended up taking an elbow to the face, and he was then slammed hard into the steps. So Moxley was shown tearing off 10's mask, and Moxley ended up biting 10's head. 10 was all bloodied up after Moxley ended up biting his head. So 10 delivered some forearms and a pump kick in the corner. Moxley ended up blasting 10 with the lariat, and then he delivered the paradigm shift. He went for the cover, and that was that. Moxley ended up winning the match. He did his business, left the ring, and walked to the back. And that was that. So Moxley ends up advancing in the tournament. And it looks like they're slowly turning Moxley heel. I think that's what we're going to be seeing here. I think they're building up Moxley to turn heel, to be a heel. There's just little seeds that are being planted for Moxley's heel turn. So I mean, that's what I'm seeing after what we saw tonight. How he basically bloodied up 10. So then we went backstage, and Tony Schiavone was talking with FTR about the challenge by the Lucha Brothers at Full Gear. Cash Wheeler ended up saying that they've been waiting a while to get those titles back. And they accept the match. Tully Blanchard ended up saying that the Lucha Brothers have no idea what they have coming down the pipe. So Dax Harwood ended up saying that they will fight for their lives in that match. And that FTR is taking back those titles. So that was that. So the match is confirmed. FTR versus the Lucha Brothers at Full Gear. AEW World Tag Team titles on the line. So that's going to be another good match there. And then we had Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes ended up making his way out with Arn Anderson. And of course, Cody ended up getting boos from the crowd. And Cody got on the mic. He kept saying that whether the fans believe it or not, he hears the people. And that he hears it on social media. Cody ended up talking about beating Malachi Black and using the Tiger Driver to win the match. He kept saying for a moment he thought about using the other move. See that other move. You would know. So Cody ended up saying that he didn't, though, because that's the easy way out. He ended up saying that he wants fans to cheer or boo him. He ended up saying that the fans can easily boo the guy who writes the checks. But don't forget the guy who built the bank. So we had the crowd end up cheering for that little saying that Cody did. So Cody ended up telling the fans that they should walk in his shoes for a minute. So he then takes off his sneakers. Cody then tosses his sneakers into the crowd. Cody ended up talking about having a Hall of Fame brother. Of course, Dustin Rhodes. A wife who is way too hot for him, Brandy Rhodes. And a father whose legacy he'll never be able to outdo, even if he lives to 300 years old. Of course, he's referring to his father, the late great Dusty Rhodes. He ended up saying that it's the easy way out to just turn. He ended up saying that if people thought he went Hollywood, he's sorry. So he apologized to the Nightmare family, and he apologized to Arn. He ended up telling Arn Anderson that it's a damn honor to stand in the ring with him. So Cody ended up apologizing. He ended up telling Arn Anderson that he was right. So he ended up shaking Arn's hand. So Cody ended up saying, oh, it's the easy way out to just turn. So, people want to see him turn heel. And he was like, oh, I'm never turning. So we could officially declare here that Cody Rhodes is the John Cena of AEW. Or, hell, even the Roman Reigns of AEW. Proved it right there. Fans are going to be booing him, whenever he has a match. And with him saying that, with him saying all this, it's going to make it a whole lot worse on him. Because he's going to have the fans booing him every time he has a match, every time he comes out and delivers a promo. It's going to get a whole lot worse for Cody after he said that. After he's saying, oh, I'm not turning. So like I said, he's the John Cena, Roman Reigns of AEW. So then Andrade El Idolo ended up coming out. Andrade ended up telling Cody that the people don't like him. He ended up saying he gets that people don't like him either. And Andrade ended up saying that he doesn't care about the people. Andrade ended up saying that he thinks Cody makes stupid choices, which Andrade ended up making fun of Cody's neck tattoo. He ended up saying that the next stupid thing was getting into his business, into Andrade's business. So Andrade was like, I am going to make you my little bitch. So then the lights end up going out in the arena. And then as the lights came back on, Malachi Black ended up showing up next to Andrade. Malachi Black ended up spinning mist in Cody's face, blinding Cody. Andrade and his assistant Jose end up being up on Arn Anderson. Pac ended up coming out to rid Andrade, and he ended up delivering a pump kick to Malachi Black. So he ended up sending both Andrade and Black out of the ring, and he was looking to fly out of the ring, and he ended up sitting cross-legged in the ring, just like Malachi Black does. And Pac then flipped off Black and Andrade, which was funny. So officials end up running out to keep them back. And that was that. Overall, this whole segment with Cody Rhodes, it sounded like Cody was pleading for the crowd to cheer for him. It's like he was pleading. And then him saying, not turning. He's officially, like I said, the John Cena Roman Reigns of AEW. Cody doesn't even want to turn. He doesn't even want to turn heel. And then it's gonna be a whole lot worse on Cody after this whole promo that he cut. Because like I said, you're gonna have the crowd boo him every time he has a match, every time he comes out to cut a promo. You're just gonna hear loud boos from the crowd. And then on commentary, they went down what we're going to see this Friday on Rampage and what we're going to see next week on Dynamite. So Rampage on Friday, we're going to see Dr. Britt Baker DMD versus Abaddon. Trick or treat, no disqualification match. If Abaddon wins, she gets a title shot, which I don't see happening. So Britt Baker's going to win that match. We're going to see Dante Martin versus Matt Sydal. Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston. AEW World Title Eliminator match. That's going to be a very good match up there. And I expect the wrestling from both Bryan and Eddie Kingston is going to be very awesome. It's a dream match for Bryan there to face off against Eddie Kingston. It's going to be a tough choice for me who I want to win because I like both guys. But if I had to have a choice, they're going to have Bryan win the match. I think Bryan's going to win the match, and he's going to be moving on in the tournament. But I would be happy. I would be happy if Eddie Kingston also won it, though. But my pick would be Bryan Danielson. I think they're going to give it to Bryan. And then they went over what we'll see next week on Dynamite. We're going to have Cody Rhodes versus Andrade El Idolo, so expect Cody to be booed once again. And it's going to show, like Cody Rhodes and Andrade El Idolo. I think if Cody wins, the fans, like I said, they're going to boo, and Andrade is going to be the babyface in the match. I think Andrade might turn babyface after this match. But who knows? But if you think about it, Cody Rhodes, like I said, the fans going to be booing him. Andrade's going to be the babyface in the match. And then we're going to have Anna Jay versus Jamie Hayter in the TBS Women's Championship Tournament. So that should be a good match. And then Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley, AEW World Title Eliminator match. That's going to be a pretty good match up there. But, I like both guys. But I have to say, Orange Cassidy, he could surprise in this match and win it. But I see them giving it to Jon Moxley. I see Jon Moxley win the match. So I think Jon Moxley's going to beat Orange Cassidy. But I may be wrong on that. Who knows? But that's who I'm going with. I think Jon Moxley's going to win it next week. He's going to advance in the tournament. And then we had the main event. The Dark Order, John Silver, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Colt Cabana versus the SuperKliq, or the Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. Now, this was a Halloween-themed match here, where we had both teams dress up. You had the Dark Order. Colt Cabana was dressed as Brandon Cutler, which was hilarious, as Colt Cabana was wearing the blue jacket and the blue sweatpants like Brandon Cutler. Looked much better than how Brandon Cutler looks with that on. So Stu Grayson was dressed up as the God of War. John Silver was dressed up as Bambi. Evil Uno was a cowboy. They had a horse there. Some person dressed as a horse, which later on we'll know who it was. So the Elite, or the SuperKliq, ended up coming out. They were dressed as the Ghostbusters. We had Omega, Cole, and the Bucks dressed up as Ghostbusters. Michael Nakazawa dressed up as a baby, which had Bebe on it, which he looked fucking stupid in that whole costume. Looked like a damn fool. And we had some guy, which at the end, I'll get to explaining. Someone was dressed up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. So, the match, it was a fun match, but it was a mess at points. And, you could tell that if WWE did this, it would be fucking terrible. But, AEW, they did this and it was fun. It's Halloween. It's not like WWE where like, oh yeah, we're going to dress this guy or this superstar in a costume for no apparent reason. If it's not Halloween, there you go. At least AEW did it in a fun way. But we had John Silver and Adam Cole end up starting off the match. Silver started throwing some punches at Cole, end up throwing a headbutt at Cole. And we had Silver end up back body dropping Adam Cole. We had a Johnny Hungry chant from the crowd. Omega and Evil Uno end up coming in. Omega end up having the proton pack still on him. And Evil Uno end up trying to go for a splash in the corner. Omega end up turning around. And Evil Uno end up going into Omega's back. End up hitting the proton pack. So Nakazawa and this, the guys dressed up in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, which we all thought was Brandon Cutler. But so Evil Uno was out on the floor. Michael Nakazawa ended up delivering a splashdown onto Evil Uno on the floor, going, ah! Yeah. That was what Michael Nakazawa did in his baby costume. I swear, he looked like a fool. Looked like an idiot in that costume. So Evil Uno, at this point in the match, he got back up. He was beating on Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson got sent into the corner. And Colt Cabana ended up coming in. Colt Cabana, just like Brandon Cutler does, delivered he sprayed the cold spray onto Matt Jackson, which got a big pop from the crowd. So they liked that. The Dark Order ended up getting control of the match. Cabana was continuing to beat up on Matt Jackson. So it was back and forth. The referee ended up getting knocked out. Matt Jackson delivered a low blow on Stu Grayson. And there was a point where the Dark Order ended up taking a low blow from the SuperKliq, or the Elite. So the Elite ended up getting their proton packs. They surrounded the Dark Order. So Colt Cabana ended up getting powerbombed onto the proton packs. So we had 5, and Alex Reynolds ended up running down, and they ended up getting knocked out. And this person, dressed as a horse, ends up running out. So they end up low blowing and kicking this person in the horse suit, and they end up delivering a BT trigger. So they then unmask who was in the horse costume. And the person in the horse costume was Brandon Cutler. So the Dark Order members taped up his mouth. So Brandon Cutler was in the horse costume. So we then see the person who was in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume. And the one who was in the Stay Puft Marshmallow costume was Hangman Page. So that was a twist right there. That was a good twist that they did there. Because we all thought that the person who was in the horse costume would have been Hangman Page, and Brandon Cutler would have been in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume. But I like that they did that twist right there. That was a good twist that they did. So we had Hangman Page. He ended up taking out Matt Jackson. Stu Grayson delivered a flip off the top rope onto the Elite out on the floor. And Page ended up delivering a Deadeye on Omega. John Silver ended up going for the Spin Doctor on Matt Jackson. He went for the cover. And there you go. The Dark Order ended up winning this match. Post-match, Hangman ended up hugging his buddies of the Dark Order. They ended up celebrating in the ring. And pretty much that was how Dynamite went off the air. But overall, this was a fun match. It was, a mess a little bit here and there in the match. But overall, it was a very fun match. Like I said, if WWE did this, they would have found a way to make it fucking terrible. So, but I like that AEW, just made it a whole lot of fun. This match, even though that we had the Dark Order and the Elite or the SuperKliq end up coming out in costumes, but the reason why I did is because Halloween is this Sunday, so that's the only reason why they did it. It's because of Halloween. So, but that was Dynamite tonight. Overall, fun show, very good show tonight. That's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.